Hi, welcome to Temperature Conversions. This is Advanced Physical Science 1.3b. So we're going to look today at 3 different temperature scales and how to convert between them. There are 3 temperature scales. There's actually 4, but there are 3 that we're going to talk about. Temperature scales provide a way of quantifying or measuring how hot or cold something is. And there are 4 primary scales. Fahrenheit and Celsius are used in everyday life and around the house. Absolute zero-based scales are your Kelvin and Rankine scales. Those are used in industry and in the sciences. Fahrenheit scale of temperature is a common form of temperature measurement used in the United States. It was created by a German scientist, Daniel Fahrenheit, in the early 18th century. Fahrenheit created his scale by finding the freezing and boiling points of salt water, not plain water. On Fahrenheit's scale, regular plain water boils at 212 degrees and freezes at 32 degrees. The Fahrenheit scale does include negative temperatures, temperatures below zero. The coldest possible temperature, which would be absolute zero, is negative 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit. These equations to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit and Kelvin to Fahrenheit are given and should be added to your formula sheet. Celsius is used primarily outside the United States. Most of the world uses the Celsius scale to measure their temperature, and 2 versions of the Celsius scale were actually created in the early 18th century. One by a Swede, Anders Celsius, and the other by a Frenchman, Jean-Pierre Christin. The Celsius scale is sometimes referred to as the centigrade scale because it can be divided into 100 individual degrees between the freezing and boiling points of water. It does include negative values that go down to negative 273.15 degrees Celsius for absolute zero. The formulas to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius and Kelvin to Celsius should be written on a formula sheet. The Kelvin scale was adapted from the Celsius scale in the 19th century by British scientist William Thomson, who later became knighted as Lord Kelvin. The Kelvin scale was designed in order to set a 0 point for the temperature scale at absolute zero. Because of this, there are no negatives. Because of this, Kelvin does not use a degree notation. In a Kelvin scale, water boils at 273.15 K. On the Kelvin scale, water freezes at 273.15 K and boils at 373.15 K. The equations to convert Fahrenheit and Celsius into Kelvin should be written on a formula sheet. The Rankine scale is not widely used apart from U.S. engineering, and the Rankine scale provides an absolute zero-based equivalent to the Fahrenheit scale, so it's going to be much more precise. The Rankine scale was created by Scottish scientist William John Rankine in the 19th century, shortly after the creation of the Kelvin scale. Here, absolute zero, water freezes, absolute zero is 0, and water freezes at 491.67 degrees R. We will not be doing any conversions for the Rankine scale. Common comparisons. Notice you have the boiling points are in Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. Human body temperature is given, room temperature, and the freezing points, and then absolute zero. Notice the Kelvin scale, absolute zero is 0. So let's look at a sample problem. The temperature of a particular substance is measured at 594 K. What is that in Fahrenheit and Celsius? Well, Kelvin to Fahrenheit, you take your Kelvin temperature, subtract 273.15, multiply by 1.8, and add 32. and you get 609.63 degrees Fahrenheit. To convert to Celsius, you take your Kelvin temperature, subtract 273.15, and you get 320.85 degrees Celsius. Thanks for watching.